what happened with Hillary, and it seemed like the momentum was better this time. And then to wake up the next day and to notice Kamala got beat worse than Hillary, how are you feeling?
So my initial, and let me know, am I still freezing up a little bit, or
No,
can
no,
you?
no. I see you.
Okay. Obviously, my initial feelings and thoughts were of defeat, of disappointment, even somewhat shock by some of the results, by some of the states. You know, the results in certain states that we thought would swing one way but didn't. And then I started to really process it and ask myself, how did we get here? And I'm sure we're going to dive into that soon. And I just want everyone to know it is two things can be true at the same time. And there are multiple contributing factors into why the election results became what it was. And I
just go into it. Just go into it right now.
I'll start with this one. The first person I'm blaming is Joe Biden. 100,000%. I think Joe Biden let his pride and ego get into the way. I think that he should have stepped down as far as 2024, being a 2024 presidential candidate long time ago. I think he did Kamala a disservice and the Democratic Party a disservice. Shout out to Kamala Harris, because she and her team did an exceptional job. I need everyone to realize she had 100 days to pull this crap off, which is unheard of. 100 days. I think that if Joe Biden stepped down sooner, we could have had a proper primary and really could have given us a better shot. I think Kamala did the best she could with what she had. And I feel for her, because it's like she had a very unfair, disadvantage. It just wasn't fair to her. It just was not fair at all. So I have to give her credit for what she was able to pull off in 100 days.
Would it be wrong if Joe Biden is sitting somewhere kicking himself in the chest saying, I'm the only guy that's beat Trump, and I probably could have beat him again, but I stepped down to do the will of the people?
No, because for the last 2 years, there was enough statistics to show that the American people, a large amount of the American people, were not happy with his term in office. They were not happy. So that logic would be flawed to me. If that's
and you would base that strictly on what the data is saying, right?
The data, conversations I've had, rooms that I've been in, things that I have seen and heard. Yes. A lot of people were not happy with, and I mean, and every president, there's people who aren't happy, right? So it's not to say there's so much merit behind that, but it's true. A lot of people were not feeling Joe Biden after a couple of years. A lot of people, and we'll get into it, I think a lot of people have this narrative. Some will say it's a false narrative that they were better off financially when Trump was in office. I don't know the merit behind that. I would love to discuss with you online and offline to see if there's actual facts to that. A lot of people are convinced that financially and economically, we were better off under Trump's reign. A lot of people think that way, whether it's true or not. A lot of people think that way. And
the problem with one of the problems we're dealing with nowadays is we're not dealing in reality anymore, and the Republican Party full well knows that. They full well know that. Some of the effects of inflation that people have been feeling under Biden come from Trump. But because Trump is not in office, they say it's Biden's fault. And when we point out something that's Trump's fault, Trump is able to lie, obfuscate. It just don't matter. He's such a cult of personality. It doesn't matter with him. And then he's allowed to lie because so many people feel threatened that I would rather burn my house down with my neighbor that I hate for this man than we all get out the house and fight together. But you got to understand this is how cult leaders operate. And on some level, until we either dumb down politicians to speak on regular folks level, or we increase education as kids are coming up through school, we're going to be stuck with this type of electorate for a long time. I just hate to say it.
So is there truth? Because if I'm wrong, I want to be corrected. Is there truth that with the economy, right? Trump inherited Obama's economy that he was able to build, and then Joe Biden inherited Trump. Is that accurate?
For the most part, yes, because when a president enacts his policies, they don't take effect the day you sign the law. They never do. So a whole lot of what Trump inherited was because of Obama. And then shit hit the fan with Trump when COVID came. And so a lot of the policies he had put in place was starting to take in effect when COVID hit. And then when he pumped all that money into the marketplace, that's what got inflation started. But Biden didn't stop inflation. He didn't stop putting out money because Biden kept printing out money trying to help rescue the economy too, which is what Trump was trying to do. And at the end of the day, we'll see the effects of Biden's economy probably over the next 2 years with what they had put in place as a fail-safe. And then we'll have to see what Trump is going to do. So people did benefit from Trump's economy, but they were mostly folks who make $500,000 or more. That's who benefited.
But that a lot of people didn't make that. And they still have this ideology that they benefited more under Trump. So I'm trying to understand where that's coming from. It's not just the rich that think that. It's middle-class Americans, who think that too.
You need to think that some of these people are either lying or don't know. First of all, to vote for Trump, you've got to suspend logic. So I just hate to be honest about it. I'm just keeping it real with you.
Yeah.
You have to know when you're talking to these people that on some level, common sense and logic is being suspended. Because at the end of the day, the only time people really had more money in their pocket was not because of what Trump did to the economy. It was because of what COVID did to the economy. Because think about it. You couldn't go nowhere. So whatever checks you had coming in, you had to sit on it. But then if you really break it down for what it's worth, do you want to be stuck home with a lot of money? You can't go out because of a pandemic, or do you want to be out and about without a pandemic? So some people are saying they made more money that are below $500,000 because they got all that PPE money. The spigot was open. But then you can't in turn complain about inflation. If you got the helicopter money, you can't then try to say, well, it's Biden's fault that we're in this inflationary period that's eating away all my money. When your ass got the money up front and you didn't do nothing productive with it to beat inflation, which would have been investing in real estate or in equities and securities. So you don't see, and the common person who's not tied into business and real estate and securities like I am can't even have this conversation with you. So you always have to couch who are you talking to saying this stuff, because most of the time when people speak about politics, they're not speaking from a point of logic. They're speaking from a point of how I feel. Like if you run to the grocery store right now and you got to pay all that money for a pound of meat and milk, you feel some kind of way. You can speak to that. But can you speak to the policy that made that milk what it is?
So who do we blame for inflation?
you can blame technically you should blame COVID. Okay. But here's where you can't even blame COVID. Obama had a plan in place,
yes,
that might not would have got rid of COVID, right, but it would have neutralized the effects so that you might not would have to have given so much helicopter money.
Mm-hmm. I'm aware.
So
and Orange Face eliminated it.
Yes, and was ill prepared for what came, and it hit us like a Mack truck. And you didn't really have much of a choice but to turn on the helicopter money. Now, of course, when Biden got in office, he kept some of the helicopter money coming. And of course, economists who are like right leaning was saying, oh, we need to cut it off. We need to make it harder to get, but they won't saying that shit in the beginning. Which, look, I always complain about inflation. I always complain that when we have inflation, when the government gives out this money, inflation hurts the middle class and poor two ways and helps the rich in two ways. Number one, most of the time, they do make it so hard to get the money that the only people that can get the money are the rich. Okay? And if you are the rich corporations who are producing the goods and services that people are buying, not only do you get to get that money up front, but then on the back end, you get to say, because there's so much money pumped into the market, we got to turn up our prices because there's so much money in the market. Well, damn it, if everybody didn't get the money that was pumped into the economy, how is that helpful? You got the money up front, then you're getting it on the back end. So at the end of the day, economics is a dismal science. I understand it to a somewhat decent degree. Yeah, and it's hard, it's very hard to pin it on one action from one president. You can say that a president could have done better. Correct. Now, when Biden got in office, he reduced the amount of helicopter money and he targeted the money more toward corporations, which I don't even agree with that. Right. Why they need more money? You should have been targeting more of that money toward middle class and poor, the ones who's going to spend it. You give rich people money, all they do typically is invest it, which that's fine and dandy, but we're not a save and invest nation. We are a consumer nation. And that's how we stop inflation. That's a word. So, yeah, we are a consumer nation.
I have another point I really want to make, but I have to say, we have our girl Moochie in the comments, and today is her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Moochie! Moochie! Happy birthday! I would like the people to know Moochie came to my house not too long. Moochie came to my house the same week I had my surgery. She came in here giving me the conspiracy stories, driving my children crazy.
We recorded. We should have had that on tape.
Sis, I think I was still coming off.
I mean, yeah, you were
like the meds and stuff. And we took her to see. We got a wall of fame where we got like pictures of me and Crystal, the kids, our grandparents, and stuff like that. And my son loves going to that wall too. Like he goes up there, he points his little finger like this at that wall. So Moochie got a chance to come up here, and part of what I wanted to say to people with what we're going through, the folks that are in your corner that you can call on, you can rally on for a safe space. Yes. Hold on to those folks. Make sure you're checking in with them people over the next 4 years. The storm is coming, ladies and gentlemen, and the only way you weather that storm is if you have safe space people in your corner that you can connect with on a weekly basis. It's going to be hard to do it by yourself. That was one of the tenements of what I wanted to say. But happy birthday, Mooch. We appreciate you.
Yes, Moochie.
And so, Monique, there's one thing I would like to discuss with you that I keep hearing people say, and you tell me if I'm wrong about this.
Okay.
When you listen to the Republican diehards and the Republican white males, I'm specifically talking to them. You Republican black men and women, I can get to y'all later, but y'all don't move the needle for me the way the white folks do.
No. Right.
They keep saying this. They keep saying that the country gave a hard rebuke and said no to wokeism. And I'm thinking, if they said no to wokeism, Monique, what the hell are they saying yes to? Misogyny,
Run that back. Is that in correlation with the election results?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Can you say it one more time? I need to click again. I need to hear it again.
People on the right wing, hardcore right wing, are saying that the country gave a hard no to the country being woke, becoming woke. And to that, Monique Nicole, I'm saying, if the country said no to being woke, then what the hell did they say yes to? The destruction of diversity. They said yes to misogyny. They said yes to hatred. They said yes to bigotry. They said, yes, we don't give a damn about women. Get your asses back in that kitchen. You only have a baby if the man says yes. Yep. They definitely said yes, no to it. They definitely said no to inclusion, and they definitely said no to diversity. But they gave a hard yes to white privilege. Am I wrong in that assessment?
You're not wrong at all.
If you said no to woke, you said yes to something, and the yes was not anything that's good for the majority of the people in this country. You said yes to racism, hatred, bigotry, telling women to sit your asses down, white privilege. You said yes to all that.
I'm pissed. I'm just upset that these white supremacists took a word from our community, Ron DeSantis, and have warped it into something to weaponize against us, which I'm just like, only a white supremacist could do such a thing. Your assessment, your analysis of it is absolutely accurate. I mean, all the woke conversations that they have on Fox and all these other platforms, and then all the anti-DEI stuff. I mean, I don't know what to say. I feel like we're going to witness the fallout from that over the next 4 years, which I'm very concerned. We're going to see certain organizations and things that have been put into place. We're going to see it crumble at the hand
definitely.
of Trump is in his reign. I mean, I don't know. And then when that happens, how much power does the NAACP have against, like, is there a way we can counter against some of this anti-DEI, all this? Like, is there not something that can be done?
No, because he has the Supreme Court.
Oh, well, then he's got the Supreme Court, he's got the Senate, and he has the House of Representatives, correct?
I don't know about the House, but at the end of the day, the backstop for all legislation is the Supreme Court. And they have already gave him the power to be a dictator.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So right now, your only backstop to the craziness that's going to come is coalitions of like-minded people who still believe in democracy. That's your only coalition. I mean, people have been so reticent to give up their freedom to say that this is my guy that's in office. He'll never come for the things I deem are freedoms. He'll never come for that. This is my guy. Trump is for the highest bidder. And when someone pisses him off,
that's true,
and they don't do what he wants, whoever his highest bidder supports and the things they support, he's coming for them too. That's what dictators do. And at the end of the day, something that's getting ready to come, Elon Musk is almost talking about putting in austerity measures to fix the budget, to trim $2 trillion out of the federal budget. Now, Monique Nicole, why would a businessman want to fix the federal government's budget? Or is he doing it out of the kindness of his heart?
Absolutely
his little heart?
Not.
Fuck no. What man has more government contracts than Elon Musk? Maybe Dick Cheney. I don't know. But I don't know. He is talking about doing these austerity measures to cut departments of education, to cut things like welfare supplements, SNAP benefits, all this kind of stuff. Get rid of tax credits for the middle class and poor. Because in his mind, he feels like once you do that, you're going to force people to have to go to work. And they're going to have to work. That's what it's running in his mind. You're going to have to work. And when you work, he don't like unions. So you're not going to have a union there to say you have to pay these people a fair, livable wage. So he's also said that while you're going through this process, there's going to be pain and turmoil while we get to the promised land. Nigga, by the time we get to the promised land, you're going to be occupying Mars. Okay. Now, granted, you ask the average Trump voter, what does a balanced budget do for you? They're going to look at you like a deer in the headlight, or they're going to change the story, or they're going to just say, Trump's my guy. And we've got too many Trumpers in here. I'm not about to educate them on what a balanced budget would do. But the problem is you have to find a balance to where you're not feeling so much short-term pain to get to the long-term object of balancing the budget. What Elon Musk is going to do could possibly be a thing to make them turn on Trump. But then I had a conversation with a wise person, and I was like, no, it's not. If this man can go jack off a microphone on stage and then act like he's sucking the penis of that microphone in front of kids, women and children, which white folks for years have told me you got to be nice around women and children. If Trump can do that, all he's going to do is either lie his way out of it, blame it on Democrats, but we don't have no power, or he's just going to say it was something else and they're going to be okay with it. It's a real Stockholm syndrome America has, and a lot of it is just lack of education, Monique. And the only way you fix that is either you educate people or you dumb down your Democratic politicians to talk on their level.
Educating people for sure, but then the government, the powers that be, have to take some responsibility for creating this monster and allowing him to have the power that he has sustained since 2016. You know what I mean? I feel like this should have been shut down a long time ago. And every time he does something egregious, we think this is the thing that's going to get him shut down, and it doesn't happen. So then I don't know. You almost feel a little defeated a little bit, because it's just he's got so much power now. And the results show it. And can we, and I don't know where you want to go with the segment today. I mean, do you have anything to say about the 45% of Latino men who voted for him and 40% Latino women?
Let me pull up a chart. I think I've got, let me see here. Hispanics. Trump received 45% of the Hispanic vote, a 13% increase from 2020. Wow.
Yeah. That's
huge. Overall, Donald Trump received 55% of the white vote, while Kamala received 45%. Trump garnered damn near 60% support from white male voters. Okay? Yeah. Now let's look at the black voters. Overall, Kamala Harris maintained strong support among black voters, capturing 80% of their vote. And black men, Trump made notable gains in certain swing states. For instance, Wisconsin, Trump support among black voters increased from 8% in 2020 to 20% in this election. In Georgia, support from black men rose to 25%. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, overall black voter support for Trump saw an uptick. And you see that down there from Hispanics. So when I see those kind of numbers, it tells me a handful of things. Number one, it tells me that men in particular don't want a woman, or they didn't want Kamala, which is a problem by itself. But I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to fix the immediate problems. Number two, it tells me there's a lot of self-hating going on. Why are Hispanics voting for him when he's trying to start deporting their asses? And if you want to get into the minutia of that, you do have some people that get here and feel like I got here the hard way. You know, I had to fight, scrap, go through all the rules and regulations to get here, and that shit was hard as hell. And I don't want nobody to get here that's got a dreamer baby or anything like that. So I want to shut the door off, and I want to enjoy the fruits of this land all to myself.
This is true.
Then then you have the fallback of the Latino community is always talking about they believe in their God so much that a number one issue for them is abortion. They don't want abortion. Okay. Is that the only thing in the book your God teaches you?
Right.
Don't kill a baby. And is there even a commandment that says thou shalt not kill the baby? No, the commandment says thou shalt not kill.
I don't even, the religion piece is so, because the amount of cherry picking that goes, this is why I don't even think religion and government need to even coincide, because we as a country, as a nation, we have been so far from the word of God since the beginning of time. I don't even know why it's in the same sentence. It's the amount of cherry picking, right? And it's this pro-life, pro-choice. Y'all are not pro-life. You guys only care about the womb. No. You guys do not care about the child after they come out the womb. You guys don't. You guys have made it very clear, and don't let it be a black or minority child. Y'all definitely don't give a damn. This whole pro-life, it's bull. It's bull. It's bull. It's bull. Now, look, I do want to say, a little bit about the stats. I know there was a heavy push for, black men and just, black men vote for Kamala and da-da-da. And that was pushed. Obama pushed it. There was segments on it. There was think pieces on it. And while we did see an uptick in votes for Trump via black men, black people, we're not about to take the blame for this, because at the end of the day, 80% of black men did vote for Kamala in the US. Yeah. And I think that is
actually 86.
86% of black men voted for Kamala. So F the 20% that voted for Trump. I don't care about y'all. Y'all not even worth me speaking on. I just want to give a moment to praise the 86% of black men who did vote for Kamala, which shows that our black men, contrary to popular belief, are okay with a woman, a black woman, being the leader. And I think that needs to be celebrated and acknowledged, contrary to what they try to push out on media and the different platforms. So I do want to give us our flowers. And you already know, black women, we showed up and showed out for Kamala. So we do not need to bear the weight of this as far as the blame. Them statistics show the white men, white women, and Latinos are the reason why that man is about to be in office. And so I just want black people, give ourselves a pat on the back with this one.
So now you get to the point that I always make when I hear black people like Umar Johnson and those that think black folks should isolate themselves from white people. We shouldn't even commingle with white people. And some people even jump down my throat when I say we can't, when it comes to politics and voting, we can't do that because we do not make up enough majority of people to sway. We can have input and we can have large input. We should have say in how things go, but we are only 14% of the United States population. 14%. White people still make up about 50% and a little more. So in order for things to go the way we want to, we have to get some of their input, which brings me to Monique Nicole's next issue. Let's take a look at these white women. White women voters nationally. White women were divided in their support, with approximately 52% favoring Donald Trump and 48% in favor of Harris. And we don't even really need to go down there and read the individual states because it just gets worse. So, Monique, to me, it's kind of like, I could say Stockholm Syndrome. I could say a lot of things. But apparently for them, women's rights and women's health was not the top priority for them. Obviously, they are cool with a guy who's willing to cheat on his wife with a porn star, pay her off. They're cool with a guy who gets up and jerk off a microphone. They're cool with that. They're cool with a person who has raped women. You cool with all that. More so, you cool with all that, and that takes less precedence than women's health whatever the platform or other things he's saying he's going to deport migrants. He claims he's going to lower taxes on the rich. There's going to be chaos. Y'all white women are going to be looking like this white woman right here. Because that's what's that's what's going to be happening. We've lived through this already. And then you got some, Monique, that just honestly, in the back of their mind, they're willing to vote for chaos. They are honestly voting for this because in their mind, the government has done them wrong for so long. Somebody need to come and tear it down and replace it with something. But are you sure you want it to be replaced with oligarchs and fascism? That's the question. That's the question.
I don't even really have the words for the white women because it does not make sense to me. And that's why the whole like women's march and the whole feminist movement, I think, is a bunch of baloney. Because when it comes down to it, they only care about themselves, right? And it's just, I didn't understand it in 2016, and I for damn sure do not understand it in 2024. I wrote something down because I couldn't wrap in 2016, right? I had a hard time, like a lot of us, wrapping my head around kind of what you've already said. Americans voting for someone who was racist, someone who was sexist, someone who was a bigot, someone who was all these things. And someone said this and it dawned on me, and I wrote it down. And I think it speaks to a percentage of Trump supporters, not all, because there's a percentage of Trump supporters who are racist, who are white supremacists, 100%. There's another percent who strictly vote on economics and financial. Then there's another, it's everyone's kind of divvied up, right? Something that someone said the other day, and I kind of had like an aha moment. We have to realize that a lot of people are able to turn a blind eye to a lot of things because it simply does not affect them. It simply
100%.
does not.
100%.
There are white people out here in other demographics. That's not the Latinos, the Asians, don't even other people who have the luxury of being able to have blinders and vote strictly on the economy. There are people who are able to put blinders on and ignore all the noise because it simply does not affect them. And that is a sad and harsh reality that we live in, right? Now, the funny thing about life is you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I say that because when it comes to the whole reproductive rights thing, I have a friend, a non-Black friend, who went through a pretty egregious situation when giving birth. She had to fly to a different state to have a procedure done. And it was very traumatizing for her and her husband, who are both Middle Eastern. And he was always a Republican. And he said out his mouth, I will never vote for another Republican again. What that shows me, and it's human nature. That doesn't make him a bad person. It is human nature. Sometimes for some people, if it doesn't affect you, you don't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't until it affected him and his wife, his household, that he then saw and had his own aha moment. So while the reproductive rights is a huge issue for millions of us, I think that Kamala, and it's no shade, but part of this thing called life, you have to self-reflect, and the Democratic Party is going to have to do some self-reflection. I think Kamala spent a lot of time focusing on that. And while that was important to many, it wasn't important to all. And the rest of America cared more about financial and economics. And they did not give a damn about a woman's womb and reproductive rights and us dying and this and that. And they don't care. They did not care.
Well, here's the thing about that, Monique. When you start talking about the individual issues, like the individual issues that are most important, you have to juxtaposition that by what people claim is important. See what I'm saying? That there are issues that are most important and what issues people claim are. For the longest time, white Republicans used to always tell me there is nothing more important than the democracy of America. And we come to find out in 2024 that shit is a lie. It is 100% a lie. Even your pocketbook is not more important, because the thing that allows Americans to reach the American dream is the fact that our democracy is the greatest experiment to ever happen. But that experiment is being tested. It's about to get the greatest test it's ever had coming up. That's what they always taught me. That was the programming for me. Now, all of a sudden, democracy is not the number one thing. It's your wallet that is the number one thing. And on the end of the day, Monique, the wallet is always top three. It's never going to not be top three. But the way in which we get to how your wallet is affected is its own story. So, for example, Trump is saying he's cleaning up migrants so that Black people can get their job. Well, what the fuck jobs is they doing?
Exactly. It's all manipulation.
Like for real? And
is this before or after he tried to categorize what Black jobs were?
No,
was that before?
And when he's able to recruit less educated Black people to fall for this shit, or the Black people that think he's gonna prop them up and be their buddy, Black folks that are like dumb ex-athletes like John Jones, Kali Muscle, a whole lot of these. I forgot my man's name that played football for this. A whole lot of these guys that he's never going to come for them, and rappers too is falling into that. Some of that for them is they think he's going to prop them up, and they want to be able to say, look, he's a man standing for men. All this talk about the woman coming up and the woman doing this, the woman doing that. What about us men? And he's got them with that. He's got it. He's
able to plant the fear. I mean, there's so much you just said that I want to speak. And let me just clarify. I was not saying that Kamala only focused on women's rights, reproductive. She did not. If you guys listen to her, she spoke about a financial plan and different things that were going to benefit us. But it did get overshadowed by more of the reproductive stuff. So I do want to just clarify for some people in the comments.
And now one thing that I feel like she talked about it, but she didn't fight for it hard enough, which is something Joe Biden did.
Okay.
Joe Biden, I think they got, like you said, I agree with you that they got so taken into the reproductive rights because that polled so well. They forgot to talk about everybody else in the middle class and poor. The only thing she mentioned that she was going to do for middle class and poor was child tax credits, and she was going to set up an SBA loan so that you could get a house. Okay, we need more than that.
Yeah.
We need way more than that, especially when you're fighting against someone who's willing to lie, manipulate, and just jerry-rig, or as we call it down here in the South, nigger-rig the numbers, and people are willing to let him get away. You got to do better than that. You should have focused. You should have focused way harder on the issues the middle class is facing. And she tried to say that she was going to end corporate price gouging, when I hate to educate the people that follow me that know nothing about politics, because they don't really know nothing. But presidents have very limited control over doing that, unless you are someone who's willing to use the powers that the Supreme Court have given. And I hope Joe Biden uses them before he goes out of office. Okay. But short of that, you don't have any power to do anything about inflation. You don't have no power to do nothing about that, because that is always what they're going to point to. And so instead of saying that,
Trump has convinced his supporters that he is going to stop inflation, though.
What is he going to do? What's he going to do? Now, here's what he could try to do. He could try to do this, but then you run the risk of making inflation worse. He could fire the Fed chair and put in somebody he likes so that he can keep interest rates down, so that loan on money is dirt cheap, and all the people who love to take loans out on assets can go get those loans and get these assets. But what's that's going to wind up doing is the same thing and how we got into inflation in the first place. You're going to have more money in the marketplace that raises inflation all over again. And then with him liking to keep, Trump is a real estate guy. He likes to keep interest rates low. He's not going to turn the interest rates back up to tame inflation. Then you start falling to recession and depressions when you do that.
And so, and help me understand, because everyone, please know, I never claim to be a political guru. I don't. I know a little bit about a little bit. I know about this and I know about that, but I still always try to educate myself. Help me understand Trump's logic with this huge immigration, deportation. What is he promising the American people? What is the benefit that we are to gain with this huge immigration issue, deportation? What is he saying? What is he saying? What's the benefit? What's the point of this?
Well, we'll take this and let this be the end of it. We'll come back another day. I'm gonna get to my super chatters in a second. But the just of the immigration, first of all, it's a manufactured issue. Okay. To the degree he manufactures, it's an issue, but it's manufactured more. This has been a strategic plan that they started since last year when migrants were in Texas and they were shipping them to New York and shipping them to blue places. They even did it in Florida. Basically, you've got what he says he's going to do, and then you've got the dog whistle of what it means. Basically, the dog whistle is, by me getting all these migrants and rounding them up, I'm getting rid of those black and brown people that is sucking down resources from the government, that is taking black jobs, that is also causing crime in your community. That's what it's supposed to be. Because if migration and foreign people coming to the country is such a big deal, why ain't you deporting your damn wife? Why ain't we shutting down the border to Canada? You don't hear nobody saying we about to deport people of lighter skin tone. You don't hear none of that shit. You don't hear none of that. And then you got the nerve to say that when we get rid of the immigrants, the black people can take the jobs picking fruit, sweeping, doing carpentry work and all this other bull job, which some of it is good pay labor and some of it ain't. Right? So you make people feel, you stoke hatred and you give them a reward for the hatred by saying, I'm gonna get them out of here. And now they're not sucking down resources or jobs that you could have got. But he put the blame and the others on brown people. Them are not the only MFers coming to this country that's doing these things. And in totality, a lot of these people aren't doing these heinous things that they're claiming. Probably 1% of the migrants here are violent criminals. And for the most part, the FBI has been rounding them up for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so all you're doing is just feeding into racism by making that the top of the issue. And you corrupted it and made it the top of the issue, really, because it's what should be the top of the issue. Nobody talk about it. Like we talked about Elon Musk trying to fix the budget. If we're being like square in the things that should be principled, how can we keep democracy fair, balanced, and diverse? The budget, because that affects everybody, and then the ancillary parts of the budget that can be fixed is how it should go. But we so far beyond that because now you've got billionaires. The wet dream of rich people is to also have the power. And the government used to try to do a good job of separating its love of rich people so that it would look like we're separating things. Now it's just fuck it. All hands on deck. The rich people that make the rules and buy the politicians are now sitting right at the table as you enter the damn office. And you got people thinking that that's a good thing. It's not.
I mean, I've been saying this for the last few years. I mean, whatever little respect and decorum we once had when it came to US politics is long gone. You know what I mean? So there is no more having equality. There's no more integrity. There's no more decorum. There's no more, all that's gone. And I don't even know if we're ever going to get it back. And then let's address the elephant in the room. They want to preserve the whiteness.
We already done addressed that. We already done said that. You say no to woke, you're saying yes to white privilege. And then this whole abortion thing, part of that is preserving whiteness. And then you keep preserving whiteness by taking the education of this country out of classrooms and you dumbing down mofos so that they don't know the harsh, rough history and how this country has treated immigrants that weren't white. And then in some cases that white ones, they treated bad too. And then the slaves that helped build this country. As simple as that.
It's very, yeah. So
now let us take the super chatter so we can get up out of here. Let's see. DeMarcus Vaughn says, if Donald Trump won his term back to back, he wouldn't have to worry about Donald Trump now. Well, here's the thing, DeMarcus. The Supreme Court has given Donald Trump dictatorial powers. Who's to say he won't try to come up and jerry-rig a way to stay in office for 4 more years? Who's going to be there to stop him from doing it? Something to think about. Next, DeMarcus Vaughn coming through again. $5. Appreciate you, brother. He says, and I quote, Donald Trump may have won the election, but may have to step down because of his age, and J.D. Vance will be president. So, DeMarcus, that is a backdoor rumor that the Republican Party wanted to use Trump to get him in there and then hope something happens to him because they have better control over J.D. Vance. And so they can just get Trump on out the way. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know how that's going to go. We'll just see what happens. DeMarcus Vaughn comes back. This is the reason why we have Thanksgiving. The Pilgrims took America from the natives. Oh, yeah, 100%. But nobody, they don't want to talk about that. That they're trying to take out of the schools. And then we got Sir Ricky TGZ. Appreciate you, homie. It should come as no great surprise that the Dem Party that has abandoned working class people would find that working class has abandoned them. Bernie Sanders. On some level, that is absolutely true because one of the reasons why Kamala lost is because people didn't come vote. Our Black ancestors and those that gave their lives for Black people, minorities, and women to vote is rolling over in their graves, the amount of people that sat on their hands. Now, granted, it's their right to sit on their hands, but you also have to deal with the consequences of sitting on your hands. Absolutely. And most people didn't like the consequences of the social behaviors we got out of Trump last time. Last but not least, my main man, Ricky, comes back with a $5. I appreciate you, brother. While the Dem leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Bernie Sanders. And I can break that down. You hear a lot of Republicans, Monique, saying that the reason the Dems lost, another reason on top of the wokeness and all the other bull jive they make up, is because we went too far left. I just giggle at that shit. I just giggle at it for several reasons. One reason, as far right as the Republican Party has come,
thank you,
what that made the Democrats do is pull them closer to the right.
Yeah.
And so you have a group of Democrats who feel alienated in voting because instead of being lefties, you're now damn near Republican Party 2.0. All of Kamala's policies, except for the abortion, except for trying to give tax credits to those with kids, and solar policies were pretty much the policies of the Republicans. So the Democratic Party went more moderate to the right, trying to accommodate the far right wackos instead of leaning into diversity, lean into leftism, lean into Bernie Sanders style democratic socialism that helps the middle class. They always want to throw this shit in your face. We're built on the backs of small businesses. Well, you're not doing nothing to take care of small businesses. You let Google, Apple, and major corporations come in, give them money to start a business in your community, then 10 years no taxes when you've got small business that's been there for decades that can't get no help. Make that make sense. Simple as that.
I think we can agree, Lamont, that the Democratic Party really needs a revamping.
Well, you saw the head of the Democratic Party, Jamie Harrison, he's stepping his ass down. And you know what? He should have stepped down a long time ago. They need to let me run that bitch. Boy,
I would love.
Boy, Lord have mercy. They let me run that cocktail. It'd be like, Miss K, run that thing back. Because, boy, we're going to be attacking some folks. It's gonna be a watchdog on the beat. Do you hear me? And plus, a lot of Trump people are tired of the way government is. And I get it. But this is not the way you burn it down. The way you burn it down is you just get rich people money out of politics. And you get common folk into politics.
Yeah.
That's how you get rid of it. But let me read one more super chat, then we up out of here. John C. One, Biden's administration biggest mistake is not pushing George Floyd Act. Now cops got more power under Trump. John C., I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Even if they would have pushed that, and we catch cops red-handed under the current administration we about to see, do you think they would have enforced that to the hilt? I don't think so. That's what I'm telling you. My black people, all people really, people who believe in democracy, you have got to become each other's safe space. You got to defend, you got to get your knowledge up, and you got to be prepared, because in 2 more years, all the talk about who's running next is going to come up, and all the talk about what is going to need to be done to defeat Trump is going to come up. And I'm telling y'all right now, this man Trump, he's going to try and pull some executive order or some shit, and the Supreme Court is probably not going to stop him. That says I need to run again because I didn't do back-to-back consecutive runs when that's not what the Constitution says. Constitution terms, period.
I would hope not.
So, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lamont Tyson. That's the young, intelligent sister, Monique Nicole. And until y'all see us again, we out.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that full. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.